elites to put it in place. That is why nothing will work for you.
African people, you've got to wake up to understand that you've got the most valuable continent, and you are the most valuable resource on that continent as human labor. As you were saying that African youths are tired of colonialism. I actually think it's the opposite. African youths are not aware of colonialism because of misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda that is taking place on the African continent that makes the African youths believe that their leaders are the problem instead of neocolonialism, imperialism, or the recolonization that is currently taking place on the African continent. And that happens by misinforming people, disinforming people, creating illusions for people to believe that what they see is caused by a cause that is usually black leadership and incompetence of black people, which was created in the colonial era. And sanctions are part and parcel of a device, a tool used by the imperialists to continue to ingrain the negative sentiment, the self-hate, and this infighting and disunity among Africans by attacking their economies silently with a virus, with a disease of economics that then cripples an economy, makes people feel despondent about their nation, makes people hate their leadership, and makes people believe that their leadership is not adequate and must be removed, and automatically causes infighting that allows the West to come in and intervene and take over a country.
What is the
Africa Union, you need to stand up and take up your position. Africa is what is going to restore humanity. Africa is the hope of the world. Africa is what needs to take over, but it's not going to take over until you start taking leadership by denouncing Western death systems, Western death technologies, Western death ideologies, and starting to implement African ideologies, which are supposed to lead humanity into evolution and sustainability of human life. Africa, you need to wake up.
Young people, talk to the young
Africa,
people.
young African people, you've got to wake up to understand that you've got the most valuable continent, and you are the most valuable resource on that continent as human labor. And the West needs to exploit you. It needs to exploit you as the buyers of their products. It needs to exploit your resources. And until you start protecting your resources on the African continent, and those in the African diaspora come back home, start putting their money, skills, and effort to protecting the resources, making sure that no one owns our resources, and we process our own resources in a sustainable manner to produce finished products that we must sell to the world, that we must use to monopolize the markets of the world so that we can take up our position. You are not going anywhere. You are not your enemy. Your leaders are not your enemy. Your enemy is the one that has exploited you in slavery, exploited you in colonialism, continues to exploit you today by magic and tricks and lies for you to hate yourself and to think that you need a savior from your enemy that enslaved you.
Now that you talk about a savior, a word to the religious leaders.
The religious leaders, you need to wake up. You have let Africa down. You have colonized Africa through a doctrine that makes Africa rely on an unseen God for their own sustenance. You have been running churches, taking tithes. You have not tried to do anything to teach Africans to produce. You have not done anything to teach Africans to produce food, to create industry, to produce solutions to their own problems. You have just been taking from their pockets and telling them to wait on an invisible God who will come and give them solutions to their problems, while other human beings are creating solutions to their own problems.
Oh yes, brainwashing galore.
Yes, in the case of Nigeria, the enemy of the people are those swearing and upholding and governing with 1999 colonial unitary constitution. There is anybody still swearing to, upholding, and intending to govern you with an imposed fraudulent colonial document that ensures that you are tied, your hands are tied, your legs are tied, and you don't do anything meaningful for yourself. That person is your enemy. Chase the person. Even if it's called P2B, chase the person. The person is not your friend. I'll allow my sister to continue. Thank you.
The person is not your friend.